Well, hello there, beautiful soul. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Fair, a Namibian residing in France as an au pair. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's video is inspired by this week's Bible study. As part of my spiritual growth journey, I have dived into the habit of having weekly or monthly Bible study programs found on the Bible app, focusing on different areas of my life or for self-enlightenment. Hashtag knowledge is power. At the beginning of this week, I was intrigued by the topic of toxic comparison. As someone who has gone through comparison at a very young age and thankfully dealt with it, I would love to share my story, the things that I've learned along the journey, and what I've learned during this week. With that said, let's dive into it. Google defines comparison as an examination between two or more items to establish similarities or dissimilarities. Mind you, it says an item and not a human being. In this life, I believe that we are to compare things, objects, and items and not human being. Instead, we compare ourselves to the next person and that person to the next, not realizing that each one of us is created and born with different skills, abilities, and talent. Last year, I went through a healing / self-development journey with a Namibian life coach, Emily K. Erastus, and boy, she knew what she was doing. Not only had she gone through the process herself, she was well equipped with the knowledge that she taught. She was kind, compassionate, and very patient with us. At the end of the journey, I learned so much about myself, my strengths and weaknesses, how to capitalize on those, identified childhood traumas that I never knew existed, and most importantly, I learned about the power that I had through Christ Jesus to rewrite my story. While in the program, there were two factors that stood out for me. Number one, the power of our words. Proverbs 18 verse 21 speaks about how the tongue has the power to create, how the tongue has the power of life and death, and those that love to talk will eat its fruit. And Genesis 1 verse 1 to 3 talks about how the earth was formless, everywhere was darkness, and God spoke and things came into existence. This truly means that your words are so important and you need to be careful of how you use your words. Everything that we see around us came into manifestation using our hands. The chair, the clothes that we are wearing, the roof, everything came about because hands were in touch. Number two, I learned about how fragile the first 7 years of our life is. During the first 7 years, or from conception until the age of 7, we receive and download everything that we experience, whether by hearing, seeing, touching, whatever, as complete truth. Within this time frame, we are unable to filter what is true or false. This means that whatever was said or done to us within the first 7 years of our life has a huge impact on the rest of our life. Another example would be the first 7 years of your life is like a garden. And whatever experience you have are little seeds that are planted in this garden. After the age of 7, those seeds starts to grow as we grow. I believe that many of us are walking around the earth with traumas, with resentment, with anger, with hurt, with insecurities, with anxiety and depression and all this crap that began or that was planted within the first 7 years of our life. And it's truly not your fault, because truly we were not aware that this word spoken to us or the experiences that we had at the early stages of our life would have such greater effect on our life. My insecurities began at an early age. Around the age of 4 and 5, my mother had to go work in South Africa, and therefore she left me with my uncle who lived on a farm in Grootfontein in Namibia. Around the age of 6, 7-ish, I had to relocate back to Ventic to resume or start school and live permanently with my mother. However, the transition from the farm to the capital city, that was a total cultural shock for me. I was introduced to my family. This is your mom, your sister, and your dad. And mind you, I had no idea who these people are. Prior to that, I was a little farm girl playing with dolls, talking to cats and dogs and goats, and singing love song to my mother who was in Ventic. About a month or two after moving permanently to Ventic, I was struggling a little bit to understand my environment. I was struggling to understand the language that was spoken in the streets by the neighbors. I was struggling to understand the people that I lived with, which was my family. I picked up on a few differences between myself and my sisters. I noticed that they were lighter and I was not lighter. I noticed that I was taller and they were shorter. There was just so many things that was happening that for me, I struggled, and I'm just like, what is going on? I remember there was a time where I started comparing myself to my sisters, and I'm like, they have thin hair and I have thick hair. And I noticed like they were loud and I'm not loud. I have like this soft tone, and I really didn't like that. I didn't like that I was different, or I saw myself different to my sister. My insecurities grew that each time I was with my sisters, I just didn't want to be with them. Because obviously my sister Fancy, whom I love dearly, was older, and therefore she used to tease me. And number two, you know the saying that goes, bigger or the firstborn, they take all the beauty, and surely my sister Fancy took all the beauty. I remember that at some point I just didn't want to be around my sisters because they took all the attention. Once upon a time, my mom sends us to the store, me and Fancy, and by that time my insecurities were level 5 or level 10, and Fancy wore like a baggy pants, and I was having like, you know, a little cute skirt, you know, and a little crop top. And by that time, you know, you are noticing boys are noticing you, but they're not really coming to you because they like your sister. And we were at the traffic light, Fancy and I, and there was a guy on the other side of the street, and he started whistling, sister, sister. And I thought he was like, you know, kind of whistling to me because obviously I had like a nice little cute crop top. And he was like, "Ni Janie man, your sister." I was heartbroken. My insecurity grew to the point whereby I was like, if I'm older, I formed this thinking pattern in my mind that before I say yes to any man or any boyfriend or get married, they must first meet my sisters, and if they don't like my sisters, then I will say yes. That was crazy. That was nuts, and I'm glad that that didn't happen. Other insecurities were my hair, you know, because I know that I have 4C hair and I have bushy hair. When I would go to the salons, the aunties would go like, "Ah, my sister, your head is too big." Your hair, they said that my hair was equivalent to 3 people's head. Literally, the volume of my hair was enough to fill 3 people's head. And not only that, they were like, "Your hair is so strong and so hard. It's a lot of work." And it is true. I have really thick hair. I have strong textured hair as well. And just hearing those words, it really broke my heart. I was like, okay, not only am I not wanted by guys, again, my hair is a problem. And not only that, another thing was the way I spoke. Because I was new to Ventic, people spoke English and Afrikaans, and I really couldn't catch up well with the language. I find it hard to express myself. I was told that I wasn't really good at speaking. I was told that whatever I'm saying doesn't make sense, so rather don't say anything. And those words scarred me real bad. I started doubting my ability to speak. I started doubting that whatever I'm saying doesn't make sense. Even sitting right here, there's a little tiny voice at the back of my mind questioning, like, what you're saying, does that make sense? Or are you just talking gibberish? But I have really truly overcome this. It's been a long journey. It's been hard. And I'm so thankful for my family and just God and His grace upon my life. The people that I tried to distance myself, saying that they are competition, or they would take all the attention with, became the people who helped me build my confidence firmly. I do not know what you were told. You could have been told that you were too skinny, that you were too tall, that you are too fat, that you're not pretty enough. You could have been told that you are too slow as a sloth. You could have been told that just not enough, that you're just so dumb. But I'm just here to say that that is not true. That is completely not true, because number one, they are not your creator. They did not create you. They do not know what you have within you. And secondly, I just want to say that me sitting here really is not easy, because I have to continually fight the thought that says that I'm not a good speaker. But either way, I show up, regardless of what they said about my hair, about my weight, about my skin, about how I look or how I speak. I still continue to show up, because I believe that I'm greater than what they say I was. And in the same way, you are greater than what they said you are. I'm gonna end this video here. I would love for you to take some time to journal down everything that was said to you when you were young, every hurt, every comment, every little thing that was said to you when you were young. Take a piece of paper and write them all down. That was the first step that I took when I began my healing journey. I had to write everything down that they said that I couldn't do, that I couldn't become. The next part, we are going to look more on how to deal with comparison. I appreciate you so much for watching this video. It truly means a lot, and me being here and sharing this is really a moment of vulnerability, but I just felt like I had to share this with you. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will catch you again in the next video. Au revoir.